Alright guys, welcome to the show. So Barcelona ties against Real Madrid 0-0 at the Camp Nou. So before the game started, many other incidents took place. So one of the first incidents that happened was Vidal was frustrated because when he found out that he wasn't going to start in the starting 11, he got mad. And so his teammates tried to calm him down, but he couldn't calm down. And that showed the lack of management that Barcelona had. Valverde and his staff should be the people to make the players understand their position in the club. And it's important to note this because we can't be having this type of situations. These bad situations happen before a big game. This only gives us bad energy in the club and takes us out of focus, which results into tension in the club, meaning we won't be able to produce good results on the field. And then after that, it was reported that Semedo, his house got robbed before the game. And we don't know much information about that yet, but then again, that's the last thing we want to hear before heading into a very big important match. Then 20 minutes before the game, it was announced that Busquets had to be dropped off from the starting 11 and be replaced by Ivan Rakitic. And it was reported that Busquets was feeling unwell, and also the club management said that it was their choice to drop Busquets off because of a technical decision. And it says right here, Sergio is fine. He will be on the bench. It was just a misunderstanding with the lineup, just a technical decision. And I'm guessing that they made that decision because Barcelona found out that the midfield of Real Madrid was going to have Valverde in it, the Uruguayan midfielder. And so instead of having Busquets in that holding midfielder position, De Jong was going to be able to take that spot. And so there was too much going on before the game even started, and that got me a little bit worried going into this game. And I didn't even mention the protest that was going on before the game and after the game. So now I want to talk about the game, the Clásico. And to be honest, I was very underwhelmed because we didn't really get to see much. There wasn't a lot of action. We didn't see questions were not answered. Barcelona as a whole did not look 100%. Real Madrid as a whole did not look 100% also. And it was a goalless tie, which because it ended 0-0, and it was the first goalless tie since 2002. And so instead of talking about what happened throughout the game from minute 1 to minute 90, I want to talk about the 3 things that we learned in this game. And so the first thing that we learned in this game is that the defense and the midfield continues to lack unity. Throughout the game, there were multiple times when the midfield and the defense gave the Real Madrid players time to create play or shoot from the goal. And I believe that was Zidane's master plan going into this game. Zidane wanted to expose our weaknesses, and that was to take advantage of the space that Barca gives to the opposing team. And so Zidane did do his homework, because I did also point this out too. And I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a moment in the match about 4 weeks ago where Lejanes and Barca were playing, and I pointed out this one mistake that the Barca defense and the midfield always does. And so I'm going to take us back to that game, and if we look at minute 37 when Lejanes and Barca were playing, look at how much space the Barca defense and the midfield were giving the player in the middle of the field. You could do anything with that space. You could either pass it to someone, you can shoot, and you can create play. And I pointed this out about 4 weeks ago, and it's sad to see that Barcelona still hasn't learned from this mistake, because now going into this El Clásico, we can see them do the exact same mistake. We can see here that Valverde was ready to take a shot. Then we can see here again later in the second half, Valverde got another shot. I don't know if that's Valverde or Casemiro, but it was one of those two, and they had a lot of space to either shoot or create play. So for Barca to do this in the game against Lejanes and then in the game against Real Madrid means that they haven't learned anything from their past mistakes. And Zidane knew that Barca were going to commit this same mistake, and he chose the right players to punish us in that area. Because if we look at the players who took the most shots in the game, the top 2 players were from Zidane's men, and it was Valverde and Casemiro. Casemiro had 4 shots and Valverde had 3. So I knew that Zidane's master plan was to use those 2 players in the midfield and try and take that space that Barca always gives. But luckily, none of those balls went in because of our amazing goalkeeper, Marc-Andre ter Stegen. And if we look at the whole game as a whole, even though Barcelona did have more possession than Real Madrid, the total shots that Real Madrid took was 17 and Barcelona only took half of that, which was 9. And I also want to shout out Pique and Lenglet for being very solid in the backline, because without those 2 in form, this game would have turned out a lot differently. It could have been like 2-0, 3-0, or even 4-0. The second thing that we learned from this match is that Barcelona is very vulnerable when we try and counterattack. Every time Barcelona tries to attack Real Madrid's open space, we are unable to be quick on the build-up play. There were so many times throughout the game where Barcelona could have counterattacked, but we lacked the athleticism of our team. And I want to show you guys something here. If we really look at our starting 11, and yeah, it does say 4-3-3, but most of the game we converted into a 4-4-2, 2, we would have Sergio Roberto on the right wing, Ivan Rakitic and Frankie de Jong in the middle, and then have Griezmann, who's not a fast player, on the left wing. Then you have Suarez and Messi up top. So if you think about it, our wings were super slow. Even our midfield, who are Ivan Rakitic and de Jong. None of those players on the wings have any pace or are quick enough to counterattack. So every time we did try and get into the final third, we couldn't get there quick enough. And when I was seeing that, it made me really miss Dembele, because I knew that Dembele will be the perfect player to punish Real Madrid on that counterattack. And just to prove that we didn't have no chance to get into that final third quick enough, if we look at Messi's heat map, it shows that his heat map was only effective in the middle of the pitch. He was nowhere near in that final third because we couldn't get there in the first place. Like, we were so slow in the game that by the time we did get into the final third, it gave Real Madrid enough time to get all the way back and get organized, which resulted into us getting less chances. And if we look back at the full stats, it says chances created 8, and then Real Madrid has 12 chances created. And what even bothers me the most is that even if Barca does send up their men to join the attack and counter as quickly as they can, if we lose the ball in that final third, Real Madrid will use their players and counterattack us back with Bale, Benzema, Valverde, Rodrigo, and Isco. And guess what? The men that would have to try and defend those players would be Sergio Roberto, Rakitic, Griezmann, and Vidal. We won't be quick enough to try and recover. And I believe this is why Valverde is hesitant to send players up the pitch and try to counterattack as quickly as possible, because when we are all the way on the final third, we won't be quick enough to come back and try and track back and defend Real Madrid's quick counterattacks. And so we are just in a boatload of trouble, and there is a lot of problems that need to be fixed. And this is going to lead me to my last point, and that is, do we have the right players in our disposal in order for Valverde to complete his work? Like, we have to ask ourselves that, like, do we really have the right players? Because when you need to counter and then track back, we don't have the right players to do that. Our players are either too old or naturally too slow to do that. I believe this is the question the club needs to ask, is if they are giving Valverde the right players in order for us to perform or have a plan B. The only highlight that we have in this game will probably be Ansu Fati's debut in El Clasico. He did participate in this game at the age of 17 years old. And so those are my thoughts. It's very underwhelming. We didn't really get to see a lot. This only created more problems than answers. I feel like we could have done more, but we couldn't because we couldn't even get into the final third in the first place. And Rakitic did speak after the game, and he said, I think the draw is fair. We lacked the final third pass to be able to score goals. So even he was aware of that. So look, I believe this is a game that Real Madrid, Barcelona, and the fans should forget. Both teams should just take their 1 point and move on forward and try to improve. So now having this 0-0 draw against Real Madrid, where does that leave us in the table? So if we look at the table, we are still tied with Real Madrid with 36 points each. And the only reason why we're first place is because of goal difference. And our next game is going to be against Alaves, which is going to happen this Saturday. So let's just try and end this year right and continue to improve. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for showing me love on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and everywhere. Let me know if you guys like the game. What are some problems you saw happen throughout the game? And so yeah, again, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys next time.